In rural and riverine communities in Nigeria, over one-third of pregnant women do not attend recommended antenatal medical care during pregnancy. This is not because they choose not to attend, but more because of lack of qualitative healthcare delivery in these areas. This, no doubt, is a major factor in the rising rate of maternal mortality in the country. Hello and welcome to Health Business. My name is Oluwatoyin Kolawole.
More than 100 people living with visual impairment in Lagos will benefit from the ongoing free eye treatment and cataract surgery at the Lagos State University Teaching Hospital, LASUTH. The free intervention, which is sponsored by the South Korean Vision Care, is to restore vision in people who cannot afford the cost of the surgery. Led by the South Korean Consular General in Nigeria, Mr. Lee Young-wan, members of the Vision Care team are here in LASUTH for the third time to lend a helping hand to ophthalmologists in Lagos for free services, especially to indigent residents living with cataract and other visual impairment. While briefing health journalists, LASUTH Chief Medical Director Dr. Wale Oke highlighted the achievement of the intervention.
Their undying commitment to restore vision to people who cannot afford the cost of surgery is very, very noteworthy. Having said this, LASUTH has over the years, with the help and the guidance of the state government, committed to bringing innovation and accessible healthcare to the people of Lagos in particular and Nigeria as a whole.
The team also assured of continuous collaboration with Lagos State.
We cannot fully covering the whole of Nigerian eye problem, but we started a training officer, then we train and working together the doctors in Nigeria. They can do more in the future in any other country, the local hospital, or any other area. That's why it's very important working together in the teaching hospital. And I think LASUTH is a teaching hospital. I think it's a good location to working together, collaboration, training, education in the future.
Health Business visited the surgical theatre where more than 30 people have benefited from the free cataract surgery. A memorandum of understanding was also signed and handed over to the team to further strengthen the sustainability of the mission in Nigeria.
A maternal death or mortality is defined as the number of women that died as a result of pregnancy or complication resulting from pregnancy between the period of conception up to 42 days after delivery. Okay, if any woman dies at that point, it's regarded as maternal mortality, and it's usually measured as a number of women that die per 100,000. It's a sorry state that Nigeria still stands at number 2 in terms of contributors to maternal mortality death. Nigeria represents less than 2% of the world population, but contributes as much as 30% of maternal death worldwide. It's disgraceful. It's just like us waking up in a country every day and hearing that we're having a plane crash, a plane full of people crashing every day. So we lose about more than 100 women as a result of pregnancy or birth every blessed day. That's like a whole plane load of people dying every day from preventable causes. And then it's also very unpalatable if Nigeria has to be categorized behind Chad, or in terms of the number of maternal deaths, in terms of percentage, and in terms of absolute number behind India. Well, yes, we can probably understand that of India because the population is about 1.4 billion, but we are just 200 million people, and then we're providing number two. We're number 2 in terms of maternal death all over the world. It's inexcusable. What then causes this maternal mortality? Now, the first thing is bleeding. Now, women that get pregnant, because some of them, because of unsafe abortion, they lose a lot of blood and they die. Some of them, in the process of delivery, they lose a lot of blood and they die. The second thing that actually contributes to high maternal mortality is infection. Infection from unsafe abortion, infection from complication of prolonged pregnancy, infection from unsafe delivery practices. These are the things that actually are the leading causes. Then the third thing that stands out clearly is what we call pregnancy-induced hypertension, or what we call eclampsia or pre-eclampsia. For these women, because they are pregnant, they are also faced with a lot of challenges in their physiology. And one of those challenges is the fact that they can have high blood pressure. And when it's not controlled, this can lead to seizure, and leads to damage, and even fetal death and maternal death. So what we're seeing is that there's a challenge of leadership in terms of health institutions. There's a challenge of funding. The organization of the health system, at least even at those local level, is suspect. Okay, because at the end of the day, the health system is handed over to politicians who are just interested, in seeing how much they can take from the system instead of help delivering, dividends. So we must be able to really drive patient satisfaction. We must rethink information system in terms of how do we then inform our pregnant women in terms of visual. For me, I want to enter every village in their local language and see visuals that will instruct them. If you're pregnant, these are the things you should do. These are the minimum you must do. This is if you have problems, these are the numbers you must call. I want to, because GSM is nearly everywhere in Nigeria now. I want to enter those villages and see that. And then, for instance, if there's an emergency, because again, basically we don't have EOC facilities, emergency obstetric care facilities, that, for instance, if you're in a riverine community where you can have a boat ambulance that can pick you up and take you to hospital should you have a problem maybe in the night. Because most of these challenges happen in unusual hours, where there are no transportation, where there are no health facilities, where there are no numbers to call. So we must be able to look at the peculiar challenge of each community within Nigeria. We cannot just say, one solution fits all. We cannot start crafting one solution fits all. It's not going to work. It has never worked, and it will not work. It's painful that a woman who is trying to create another life, who is trying to, give birth to another life, has to die in the process. It's shameful and very painful. Now, we've always known that it's in a rural community like that, it's usually the focus of everybody in the community, from the traditional ruler, from the traditional birth attendant, to even the community licensing people. Now, what a pregnant woman can only respond based on the information available to her. So for us, we need to raise the level of health literacy at those levels. We need to raise those health literacy in those communities. And how do we do it? Now, the focused antenatal care has become a new model that tends to, reduce such things. What are we saying? There must be a clear-cut prescription for those women that, listen, before you deliver, you have 4 visits to the hospital. The first visit, they will screen you for the basic challenges, basic complications that may arise in terms of you, your height, your blood level, the baby, and all those. They will do that first screening. The second screening, they're probably going to give you the first prevention against malaria. Because what are we talking? Malaria is one of the common things that is causing maternal death, in this part of the world. Maybe a sexually treated net or even a prophylaxis against malaria, they'll give that to you. They thought they were going to check the position of the baby and check the baby whether the baby is ready to deliver, and then they thought you should be getting ready for delivery. To have those 4 things, and then for us to now use our community health worker team, because within the 747 local governments in this nation, we should be able to deploy. I'm confident that we have sufficient community health workers if we give them right incentive to bridge the gap and create a platform. Because now it's getting to a point where we must be able to apply technology. We create a platform even using simple phone to be able to communicate and monitor what is going on, and then we must be able to have an understanding from that bottom to the top on how to track and monitor people. Then we must be able to create incentives for pregnant women to actually embrace antenatal care. Because wait a minute, if the country can wake up and say that, listen, Boko Haram, drop your arms, we're going to give you some money. And say, militant, drop your arms, we're going to send you abroad. But the critical thing like, maternal death, you must be able to incentivize it. If you deliver with assistance of a trained person, if you deliver in a clinic or maternity center, you are entitled to this support. If you now breastfeed your baby and then you now take full immunization, including family planning, you are entitled to this second level of support. We must be able to drive our figure any way we like it. Incentives has always been used. What we call conditional cash transfer has always been, even in a place like New York, in the center of New York in Bronx, conditional cash transfer is used to encourage some of those people that are the fringes of the health system to come and embrace either immunization or even embrace health services.
You are still watching Health Business on TVC News Nigeria. Now, moving on the program. Did you know that one apple a day keeps you healthy? But how can you achieve this? Stay tuned as we take a look at the healthy benefits of apple. Now that you know how important an apple is, don't hesitate to always eat one at least once a day. Next on our lineup is the pharmacy segment. Stay tuned.
In the month of November, pharmacists from all over the country and beyond gather in the chosen states for their annual national conference. This year, the chosen state is Abia State. From Monday 6th to Saturday 11th November 2017 at the Multipurpose International Conference Center, Umuahia. And the very apt theme of this year's conference is Medicines Availability and National Security. The keynote address will be delivered by Dr. Andrew Nevin, Chief Economist, Price Waterhouse Coopers, an erudite scholar with vast experience in international business development and policy formulation. The conference theme will be discussed under three broad perspectives: regulatory, social enterprise, and business. The conference promises to be a combination of learning, relaxation, business, and networking with various segments including the star-studded opening ceremony, plenary sessions, exhibition, excursion, and poster presentations. The conference will showcase the rich culture of Abia State, including the War Museum, Azumiri Blue River, and the Ngodo Caves. The event will be capped off with colorful closing banquets. The PSN President Pharmacist Ahmed Yakasai and Governor of Abia State Dr. Okezie Ikpeazu look forward to receiving you.
The discovery of insulin and penicillin by Frederick Burton and Alexander Fleming respectively in the 1920s marked the beginning of modern pharmaceutical industry that has not only become a major contributor to national economies around the world but has continued to help in safeguarding the health of the populace. Industrial pharmacy is an area of pharmaceutical specialization in creating drugs and medications. Industrial pharmacists are responsible for determining if medications developed by pharmaceutical companies have both the right ingredient and the correct amount of this ingredient. With the growing incidence of distribution and sale of counterfeit and substandard drugs in Nigeria, there is urgent need, more than ever before, to increase the tempo and sustain the process of drug quality control. But what and how exactly do industrial pharmacists engage in quality control of medical consumables in Nigeria?
Quality is not assured at the end of the product manufacture. It's built into it. You don't ensure quality, you assure it, and that's why through every step you take, the raw materials, the way you handle it, how you manufacture it, how you test after manufacture to make sure that it's of good quality is important. This includes the storage and handling of the products from when we manufacture to when it gets to those who are responsible to hand it over to the consumers. So we ensure that they adhere to proper storage conditions for the vehicles they use and for the warehouse where the products are stored. Beyond this, we also ensure that we monitor how consumers react to some of these products. This is what we call post-marketing surveillance, to ensure where they develop any untoward effect, we document and all that. These are all the things we do to ensure that quality is built into the product.
Of course, since the industry makes the products, so definitely from the upper level, we take responsibilities for ensuring that only quality products leave the factory, and of course the government agencies are there to ensure that. However, on our own, our industry in Nigeria is self-regulated also. We have very high standards that we strive to maintain, which is even higher than what the NAFDAC, the PCN, are calling for, so that we automatically meet their own standard.
These pharmacists agree that the pharmaceutical industry in Nigeria currently operates under challenging business environment with the attendant limitations in the effort of operators to maximize the full potentials readily available in this important health subsector.
Of course, is enormous. We have to import almost all the raw materials. That means we have to depend and make sure that we're able to source from countries where you have better quality, okay? And then also that means cost. That means more funding. And without saying that, at interest rates hovering at above 23% commercial rate, that obviously is a big challenge, for the local firms, as it were. And the other opportunities are always there, but then you have to look at the risk of benefit to be able to see how best to be able to play. Because at the end of the day, profit is ultimate. You still have to deliver profit to stakeholders. Profit to the person in the medicine is getting well, whereas profit to the owner of the business is making real profit, as it were.
Through every step you take, the raw materials, the way you handle it, how you manufacture it, how you test after manufacture to make sure that it's of good quality is important. This includes the storage and handling of the products from when we manufacture to when it gets to those who are responsible to hand it over to the consumers. So we ensure that they adhere to proper storage conditions for the vehicles they use and for the warehouse where the products are stored.
Access to low-interest funding is another major constraint being encountered by operators to increase and improve capacity of pharmaceutical companies to operate effectively and also compete favorably with their counterparts in other parts of the world.
We have to import almost all the raw materials. That means we have to depend and make sure that we're able to source from countries where you have better quality, okay? And then also that means cost. That means more funding, and without saying that at interest rates hovering at above 23% commercial rate, you know that obviously is a big challenge.
The pharmacist, however, pointed out that for industrial pharmacists to deliver what is expected of them in diligent manners, the government has an important role to play in facilitating investment in the sector. They are of the opinion that if the country is willing to harness the huge potentials that abound in the sector, there is no better time than now for government to create an enabling environment for pharmaceutical industry to thrive and contribute its quota to national development.
Did you know that fibroid is a contributing factor for infertility? Do you want to know more? Let's now join Dr. Abayomi Ajayi on understanding infertility.
Welcome to Understanding Infertility. My name is Dr. Abayomi Ajayi. And by popular demand, today we're going to talk about something that is so common amongst women in Africa, and Nigeria being not an exception. We sometimes put it as being present in about 40 to 60% of women. It's what we call uterine fibroids. Fibroids are growth that are non-cancerous and are very common in women in childbearing age. I said 40 to 60%, some of you might be wondering, but yes, it's true. The fact is that they have different sizes and they are located in different places, but some are so insignificant. But we say we have 3 types of uterine fibroids, depending on where they are located. Whether the one that stays where the baby is supposed to stay, what we call the endometrium, which we call submucous fibroid, or the one that is in the muzzle of the uterus, which we call intramural fibroids, and the one that is outside of the uterus, that we call subserous fibroids. Now, you ask me what are the symptoms. Most of the time, there are no symptoms at all. That's what the problem is. So many people carry fibroids and they don't even know they have them. The commonest symptoms are usually that menses are heavy, and sometimes longer than for you. I mean, what typically used to be the normal thing for you. And then sometimes also, we can have pressure symptoms related to the organs that are near the uterus. For example, the bladder, the rectum, with bladder you might be going to the toilet so frequently, But what we are concerned about is the effect of fibroids on pregnancy. Many people, when they talk to gynecologists, and we say that fibroids rarely affect pregnancy. They are at a loss about that. Yes, sometimes you can have infertility from fibroids, but that rarely happens. It only happens when either the place where the baby is supposed to stay is occupied fully by the fibroids, or the fibroids is where the tube and the uterus join together, which rarely occurs. But yeah, it can happen. And sometimes also, especially the one that I call submucous fibroids, can lead to pregnancy loss. So you can get pregnant and then, but it's not unusual for us to have women getting pregnant with fibroids. And then we know that can be associated with early separation of the placenta, what we call abrupto placenta, and even with good retardation in the babies. And with preterm delivery, that babies might come early. But how do we make a diagnosis of fibroids? Usually, like I said, they don't. Majority of them will not have any symptoms. So sometimes it's when you just go to the doctor for a different thing, and the doctor either does a scan or he just examines you and says, there is a mass here somewhere. And so, but the usual way to make a diagnosis with the scanner or with ultrasound. How do we treat fibroids? Yeah, people always ask that. The surest way to treat fibroids is surgery. But in some cases, especially when either before surgery, you can use drugs, or a woman that is almost nearing menopause, we can use drugs for them. And there are some injections that we use for this that starves the fibroid of the hormones and therefore makes it to reduce in size. Also, there is a form of IUCD that is intrauterine contraceptive device that can be used, called Mirena, that can be used for people who have fibroids. Now, like I said, the best way to treat fibroid is still surgery. But now, when people say surgery, you're thinking of being cut open. No, in this day and age, it's possible to do what we call pinhole surgery. If you listen to previous episode, you will see me talk about hysteroscopy and laparoscopy. The same way we can use these two things to treat fibroids. If this fibroid is inside the endometrium, we can use hysteroscopy. If it's outside, we can use laparoscopy. Of course, the old method of doing abdominal mammectomy, cutting through the uterus, is also a good way to do it. And sometimes some people need to have their uterus removed. It's at this point we're going to stop this program today. Remember, together we can conquer infertility. Catch you.
I'm sure you must have enjoyed today's episode of Health Business. Join me again next week for a fresh package. For questions or comments, send an SMS to the numbers showing on your screen or send an email to goldbandinbox@gmail.com. Remember, living healthy is a serious business. My name is Oluwatoyin Kolawole. Bye for now. Thank you.